good morning, community. This is another installment of Black Lives Matter Flint Community Conversation. And again, I have my lovely queen, Ms. Satara, that is co-hosting with me all the time. I want to say good morning to our sister.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Brother Roberts.
It's a blessing to hear your voice. Before we get started, I'm going to do a quick PSA, some announcements. April the 13th, we have Ms. Nicole Hannah Jones that will be here discussing this 1619 project. I'm hoping you all will get out and support that event. Also, they're working to rename the library in honor of Ms. Gloria Coles. We want to be mindful of that. Also, after this week, the following Monday, we will be starting back greeting our students at the local schools. And again, we need our community to get out and support this wonderful endeavor to help to motivate, encourage, and value our students. Also, I want to remind you about the St. John Heritage Committee. They are involved in reimagining the wonderful village of St. John. We want to continue to leave a legacy and really build that project up. And some other things that's going on with some House bills that we're trying to put through with legislation dealing with returning citizens. Many of you guys may not know the impact of men and women coming home from prison, how they continue to be left out and marginalized and really destroyed with that felony. Again, you can classify different felonies and how those felonies may present themselves. But if you come back with the concept of how this country was established, almost all laws, policies, and ordinances were designed to make sure that people of color would be marginalized, especially after 1861, after the so-called Emancipation Proclamation. So again, we want to just remind people that there's a lot of work being done trying to get bills and trying to get legislators to get involved in some areas that's really impacting the lives of men and women coming home from prison. I am a returning citizen. It's dear to my heart. And again, it's just like a person that a family member may develop cancer or may have AIDS. A lot of times we're not concerned with any issue unless it's at our front door. And how do we have humanity when we are engaging in, somewhat selective outrage? So again, I'm just hoping that you guys will be willing to get on board and find in your heart and your time that you will help educate yourself more about some of these issues and how we can be proactive. Thank you again.
Can I ask you a question about the St. John's Project? What exactly are they doing down there?
Okay, the St. John Project is a project that they are working to develop a living memorial history of that wonderful village. And what they're doing now is down on the boulevard, they are working to have a almost a 2-mile walkway where you will be able to go up to kiosks. They're going to have statues, but everything is to commemorate that wonderful village that was established, especially back in the early part of the Industrial Revolution, the early 1900s, because that's what the area where most immigrants, especially Black people, were forced to live in. So what they're trying to do is leave a legacy and build a actual living memorial and / museum to honor that village.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that sounds wonderful.
You get that, my sister?
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. I look forward to seeing that come to fruition.
Yeah, I'm on the committee. I was down in, I know you probably been to the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee. You know how they have those kiosks outside at the hotel?
Right. Yes.
So that's what that's one of the ideas I brought as far as how you
That'll be
walk.
really cool.
Yep. So again, trying to really work on getting some footage and some real work behind that. But again,
Okay.
good to hear your voice, my sister.
As
Also,
well.
I wanted to apologize. Some people took offense to some things that I was not able, for technical reasons, to be on the show this past Thursday, and we were dealing with relationships, and we had a prior conversation about how the conversation was going to move forward with some history as far as what are some of the damages and some of the cause of why we have such precarious relationships. And in some of the conversation that was going on with our sisters, I felt that some of the statements were being made that really threw men, especially black men, under the bus. And so I used some language that some people were offended with when I referred to our beautiful sisters. But it was in the context of some things that some of the sisters had said, and I took offense to it. And again, sometimes when we use language that is not appropriate, I do want to apologize. It's not in my heart, but in spirit of the conversation, I really wanted to push back on some of the flow of the conversation and how our sisters were engaged in some form of really destroying and demasculating our manhood. And so I just want to apologize to our community. It was never intended to be said like that. I should have did some things differently. And so I'm man enough to say I apologize. I hold my sisters in high esteem. I'm not perfect, nor are many of our women folk. It's about how we can maybe apologize and then move forward in the spirit of sister and brotherhood. So from my heart, I really apologize for the language I used. Okay, good morning, sister. This event that took place the other day, I don't know what your feeling is about it, as far as the governor coming in here, and we had chicken heads, raisin heads that went down. We don't need no park. We do not need a new park. When you think about, we can't even use the Max Brandon Park, which used to be the old Forest Park. We can't even use that, and that's a wonderful park already in the city of Flint. So, how do you feel about that, my sister?
I think that it was some buffoonery. Honestly, we don't. You're right. We don't need another park. Every neighborhood that we have around here, almost every one of them already has a park. There are plenty of parks around here. So if you want to do something, how about revitalizing the parks that we already have? I
Right.
I, I would be more apt to see the parks that we have now revitalized. But what's the point of having another park in the city where there are no houses and no people to utilize them anyway?
Ooh, that's so profound. And if you think about the area that they are suggesting, is still adjacent to downtown system.
Absolutely. And they're
And so
continuously trying to push everything that way and to put everything in a little box that way, which makes zero sense.
And well, it makes big sense because think
Well, it
about
makes
it.
big sense to it makes big sense to the master plan.
There you go. There you go. Because almost right now, we don't have to claim or talk about racism because you can't even afford to be in spaces, right?
Absolutely.
And so you're not going to cross Fifth Street, or there's certain areas you're not going to cross because they're not going to allow you to cross it because when you cross it, you're going to be automatically identified. It could be through a drone, it could be through any kind of surveillance that they will be able to come right down on you and say, why are you down here? Why are you downtown? You don't live downtown. You don't have no business downtown. So you need to be getting out of here, right? And that's what they're doing.
Right.
So I think
So in essence, it'll be just like they did when you all lived in St. John's, or you couldn't pass a certain point, right?
thank you. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And you think about it psychologically, and although just like they use the police force and those laws and those ordinances to make sure that our parents, grandparents instructed us not to do certain things, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, and I think with the leadership, and even if you think about that, do you know that whole park concept came about in 2019? When you really think about where that idea came about, because they were talking about how to revitalize Chevy in the hole in that space down there. But the biggest issue that I would want to ask you about is, what about that money, $200 million going to refurbish homes, to reestablish businesses on the north side, to revitalize our commitment to our health of our community, meaning if it's the board of education. I mean, there's so much that money could use to repair the brokenness in our community, and we're still suffering from poison water system.
Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree with revitalizing homes or building new homes, which is what I said at the ARPA funds meeting. They need to, some of that money needs to be utilized towards that, because people need places to live. And I don't think putting apartment buildings up in the different neighborhoods is the answer, because in essence, to me, that just feels like basically you just building another project in those areas and pushing us that way to have more projects. That's what it seems like to me.
I
So
know that
yeah,
is,
so
but yeah,
absolutely. And so it doesn't matter how beautiful you try to make it right now in the beginning stages of it, and because it's built right now. I'm sure Cabrini Green was beautiful when they first built it too.
yes, it was. It really was.
So
But you
so
think, but
so that's my point. Like, is that if that's what they're going to continue to do, we all need to wake up and we need to take it back and realize that that's not the answer.
right, and when you think about even the whole concept is home ownership, right? I mean,
Yes,
that's what as far as building wealth and legacy, it's about home ownership. So any project or any concept should be designed around home ownership and not some kind of leasing program, which that's what renting is.
right.
And so again, that goes back to leadership. When we talk about
Yeah.
all these different things that's taking place, it starts with with the council, the mayor, and then with the people.
And
Because
shame on our leadership for allowing that, right? For allowing her to come in and do that, for even getting on board with that. Shame on the leadership, because you are a black man from Flint, from the north side of Flint. Why wouldn't you
right,
want to see you were at where you grew up at revitalized and built up? I don't
right.
understand it. Why would you sell out that way? Because to me, that's what it seems like, is a sellout.
Oh, it's definitely a sellout. And I think one of the things that we got to really start doing is calling our people that look just like me and you. We have to call them out and we have to hold their feet to the fire based on receipts. It shouldn't have to be emotional.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we have to get out of this emotion. We need to just deal with facts and reality and let the chips fall where they may. And when you think about it, the power is in the people. And some of the projects and things that we need to really be involved in, some of those guys back in the day, guys, we had tremendous men and women that were engaged in one of the biggest business that black people controlled at one time was the lumber business. And those men and women that were able to benefit from that windfall need to step back up in our community and start funding some projects ourselves. We got a lot of men and women that are sitting on some wealth, and they can't take it with them when they die, and they have to provide pretty well for their children. And we can't be ashamed about this, because if you look at what the lottery is doing right now, the lottery is cutting up. The kind of money that the lottery is generating is what black and brown people were generating back in the day. And so again, we need to use some tactics where we're going to have to start taking and going back to some things that work for us. We need to take over our own number business, because again, we are not getting a fair shake. Every time we do anything, our talents, all of our ideas are corrupt or taken, and then it's reimagined or refertilized, and then they take control of it. What do you think of that
Yeah,
system?
absolutely. I absolutely agree. I think that we definitely should take those things back. I definitely should think that we should take our as you said, even that, just our lottery.
Yes,
Imagine
yes,
what we could build up in doing that, and just doing that. We can build our own communities right back up. And
yes.
I think that's the key. I think that's what exactly what we need to do. I was speaking with Councilwoman Tanya Burns last night,
Mm-hmm.
and that was what I said to her. And I said, I think imagine if we just, pool our money together and buy a neighborhood. All of these, because we can go down the neighborhood and you can see a row of houses, a whole street of houses, a block of houses that are abandoned or for sale, whether it be through land bank or whatever. But we need to bum rush land bank and demand our
Yes.
houses back, and demand that we get them, and not have to jump through hoops in order to do it. And then we need to do that. If we pool our money together, when we buy up a block, we revitalize the block. And then once we do that, we keep going and we buy another one and we do it again. But I think that's the energy we need to have. Even if it's just a few of us, if it's just 10 of us to put our money together starting out, and then we get 20, and then we get, I think that's what we need to be doing.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, and there are so many examples around the country that are doing just what you said. I know you're familiar with Detroit, and in Detroit, right before you get to Highland Park, there's an area around that area right there at Chicago. I don't know if you're familiar with Chicago Boulevard is, where these houses, this little section, were built for Chrysler, General Motors, and Ford executives before Grosse Point, Bloomfield Hill, and all them other outside place spaces were developed, right? So they got old mansions that they have re-envisioned, rebuilt right in the heart of Detroit. You follow me, sister?
Yeah,
And that's the imagination that one has to have. I love what you said, block by block, because it can be done. When you think about $200 million for a park, with that $200 million coupled with other money from HUD, because you go after that HUD money that can re-envision and get home ownership program. And those are the things that leadership from the council to the mayor's office should be pushing for. And the people have to push them for that.
but that is what I spoke about at I did get up and speak at the ARPA funds meeting, and that's what I said. I said with that money, I said even if you even if you put 20 million into it of that money, or and you got with HUD and you say, hey, I got 20, I need you to match 20, and we build up these houses, refurbish these houses, and on those empty vacant lots, then we put houses up, and you fill the communities back up. That was what I said to them. And I think that's the energy they should have. So if that lady has $200 million for us, why not tell her, well, you got to match it and we got to build it back up.
Exactly. And see, and some of the people, our community don't realize what their tax dollars, when you're paying taxes, guys, or your water bill and all these kind of electric bills and all this stuff, guys, there's money that the municipality is supposed to use to improve the community. Now, when guys talk about tax breaks, anytime you hear tax breaks, you guys need to be leery of that, because that means that these people do not have to pay taxes. Lear does not have to pay any taxes, guys. Y'all think about that. Because when you think, my sister, when you think about how do a municipality leverage their bonds or their money that they have in the funds, the city funds, to go after, like you say, those projects that needs to be funded and get matching dollars from it could be from HUD, it could be from the agriculture department, it could be from the defense department. All those kind of money is what other municipalities and mayors go after. Your mayor is supposed to be the person and their team going after to get money to build up your community. That's what the mayor's
Absolutely.
job is supposed to be doing.
Absolutely. And again, I say, shame on our leader a black man from the north side of Flint for not advocating to building up the north side of Flint. Why? Again, I would love to ask him that. Why don't you want to see where you came from prosper again and be built back up to be a beautiful neighborhood and community again? It makes zero sense to me to sell out that way. Why would you not want to see that? You're okay with seeing downtown prosper, but you're not okay with seeing where you lived prosper. You don't want to see. I would love to see the house I grew up in back beautiful, or the neighborhood that I was in back beautiful. My grandmother's street. My grandmother lived on Baltimore. I would love to see Baltimore prosper again. I would love to see some of those houses be back up, even around the way. I would love to see that whole neighborhood be revitalized. I'm just saying, if I had the power to do that, that's exactly what I would be doing. I would love to see that. And people where I see where my uncle lived at on Jackson, his house isn't even there anymore. But I would love to see that built back up. It's just ridiculous not to want to have that. And that's where you from. That's where I have a problem with you saying, I love Flint. Because I call bullshit on that. Because if you did, you'd be doing different.
Come on now. I think that's critical. And back to how do we hold, my sister, I'm asking you a question, and this is for our community. How do we activate leadership to wake them up?
I think we need to start going to city council meetings, sign up on that paper, and we fill the house up, and every last one of us get our 3 minutes. So if every seat is filled and every line is filled on that paper, and for open conversation for us to speak, if it takes to midnight, damn it, they're there to midnight arguing anyway. They might as be there to midnight to listen to us. And all of us get our 3 minutes, and we do it every single council meeting until we get it done. We got to be active.
You know,
We got to be active, and we have to be strong together. And I feel like that's how we pressure them. We just keep our foot on their necks. And every time you see them, I don't care if it's at Sam's, if it's at Walmart, if it's at the corner store, it's at the gas station, then you give them 3 minutes again. I'm telling you, we just need to continue to be at some point. What they gonna do? Put us all out? Hell, they ain't even got enough police to police the neighborhoods. They can't come and get us all.
And that's it. Right there is what you said. That is the model, and that's the real concept of democracy. When you say that the community is engaged fully, and once the community understand what the issues are and educated about the issues, where they're not going with just some emotions and being consistent, that's the answer system. That is the answer. That is the answer. Other communities have tapped into it, and that's what they do. And again, that is the answer. Even when you just mentioned about, the whole concept of policing, which in my opinion is just pitiful, because we keep talking about, wanting to, and just like what Biden just did, this president just gave these hired killers more money, when much of the money that they are getting ready to allocate to these hired killers have been redirected out of the funds that were supposed to go to heal communities. And a lot of times when you think about what's happening, and it's our fault, because we're supposed to be engaged in the policing of our own communities. And a lot of times when you think about crime stopping, and I don't know why we don't have this real conversation, Queen. When you have jobs and job opportunities, you have less crime. When you don't have no jobs and no opportunities, you have more crime. To me, and sister, you a sister, how do you think about that? And you have men in your life and sons in your life, black people, black men that you deal with, and black women. And they always want to throw out law enforcement, and they always talk crime. But they never talk about healing, or investing. It's all about Crime Stopper, Crime Stopper, stop crime, stop crime. But they never talk about build business, build job, create wealth, create opportunity. That conversation don't be had. What do you say, sister?
I wholeheartedly agree that those conversations should be had, and they continue to harp on the crime. And like you said, they don't talk about the healing. And I think that that is so critical and so important, and especially the mental health aspect of it, because some of these people that are getting in some of these issues and some of these places that you go and they get pulled over or stopping them on the street, but it's bigger than just a crime, right? They have some mental health issues. There's some people that have our whole city. I'm gonna continue to say this. Our whole city has mental health issues, and our whole city needs some has trauma, and our whole city needs therapy. Every last one of us. And if we don't think about healing the city, then how are we going to get the crime rates down? We're not healing anybody. And some of that healing comes from they don't have any jobs. They don't have any money. They can't do this and they can't do that. Why? Because our city is broken. Our city is destitute. If we heal it and bring more jobs and bring more businesses, why do you think that? Why wouldn't you think that the crime rate would go down? They don't have shit to do. Nothing.
Right.
So, and what they say, an idle mind is the devil's workshop.
Yeah.
And there you go.
Yeah.
So my point in that is if we continue to just harp on the crime and not harp on the root of the problem, which is we don't have anything. There's nothing here. Nothing. And nobody wants to bring their business here if we don't start first. My grandmother always said, charity starts at home and spreads abroad. So if we can't do for ourselves, why would anybody want to come and help us do for us?
Wow. And I think and listen to this, our community. In 1970, the United States spent $200 million on the the locking up or the correction facilities all over the country. They spent $200 million in 1970. They spent $200 million. I want y'all to sink your teeth into that. In 1970, the budget for the Department of Correction in the whole country, not Michigan, the whole country was $200 million. Today, in 2022, the budget for the Correction Department in America is $300 billion. Not $1 million, $300 billion. Can you hear me?
That's ridiculous.
From 200 million to 300 billion? Come on, guys. If that's not a business, do y'all know that 78% of the people that are locked up across this country is for drugs? Is for drug offense? And in many states now, they done decriminalized marijuana, and people are still locked up for marijuana charges. Come on, y'all.
Yeah. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's
And
absolutely.
and again, back to the community about how we are ignorant, don't know the proper information, and continue to want to jump on. And we get on Facebook and all this stuff about Will Smith, but we won't address what's going on in our communities that is constantly destroying us for the lack of resources. But we'll go, we'll chime in, we give all that energy to some boo-boo. I mean literally boo-boo. But we won't give energy to those levels of engagement that can change our community because our community is under attack. We don't even believe our community is under attack.
They don't believe that the community is under attack. They half-ass believe that our people are under attack. We have been so brainwashed by all of the entertainment and everything else that we forget us. We forget about us. We forget about where we live at. We forget about our people. We forget about where our grandparents live at. We forget about where our parents live at. You know, even if you don't live in these spots anymore, but you have someone and you know someone in these places. I'm just saying, I we have to come together as a community first. We have to first we have to come together as a community before we can go out into other states and to the other cities and talk about the plight of the nation. You know, us as a nation, we have to do it at home first. And if we can't take care of home, and we can't take care of Flint, we can't be worried about Will. Listen, Will Smith got plenty money. I ain't worried about Will Smith. I don't give a damn about none of that. If he gets sued, so the hell with. Keep your hands off the man. My point is, we can't be worried about somebody that ain't worried. But Will Smith ain't worried about us. He is not. We have to be worried about us. I worry about us. I worry about all of the people that I know that live in the city of Flint that are still plighted by this water. That still can't use this water. Brother Roberts, I worry about you. I do.
Yeah.
I do. You still live there. You are still going through this. I worry about you. I worry about all of my friends and family that still live in the city and that are plighted by this water situation, which is why I speak about it all the time. But here's the thing. This is what I want people to realize and understand. I speak about it all the time because it's near and dear to my heart. Not because I'm plighted by it, because I'm not. I don't live in the city. I've said that a million times. However, my loved ones do. I love Brother Roberts. He lives there, and I'm concerned just with the rest of the people that I know that live there. So just because it doesn't happen directly to you doesn't mean that it doesn't affect you. Because if it affects you, Brother Roberts, then it affects me. If it affects my family, then it affects me. If it affects my friends, then it affects me. If it affects my people, it affects me. And that's the energy we need to have. I don't care if it doesn't affect you directly, but you as a Black person and you as a product of the community and you that still have people, family, and friends that's still in the community, it affects you. And we all should be speaking loud and proud about it. I'm not saying it because I pay a Flint water bill. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying it because my people do. And that affects me. And that's something that we need to keep the pressure on. And that's the problem. We get too lax and we allow them to do whatever. And then we just take it. I'm tired of taking it.
Man.
And I refuse to continue to take it.
Right. I echo what you said. I'm so tired of taking it, in every spaces and places, that I go in, you see and you witness this buffoonery, you just get pissed off and, you gotta handle your emotions. You gotta be more, I mean, for myself, I have to be more tactful and not let this stuff overwhelm me. Like the other day,
Yeah.
I had to write, and this evening I got to write another brother that's locked up. And so I love what you said about, although I'm not affected, and that's why I use the analogy about a person with cancer or a loved one with AIDS. Unless it's in your family, you're not going to be concerned with it. Unless it's your loved one or somebody you hold in esteem, and again, that was not the case. Why I bring it up is that was not our case early on in this country. Even being enslaved, we were down, 10 toes down for one another. I mean, we had those Benedict Arnolds and we had those people, established volunteer agents in our midst. But the majority of us, because after 1863, when those people were walking, they walked for miles and for days to find their loved ones. And that shows you, that told you right there about that commitment to that ancestry and to that human spirit that I'm going to find my loved one, even if I gotta walk 2 and 3 months to find them on another plantation or wherever they are. I mean, you think about the spirit of someone that really don't know north, east, south, or west. Well, let me take that back. Most of those people had a real understanding about the geography. Let me take that back. Real talk. Our people, hey, they 10 toes down from knowing where they are. But I'm using that as an analogy. Those people were going and seeking their loved ones because that was an internal connection. We have bought so much into this European construct that we done lost any element of our connected to one another, even if we're not biologically connected, sister.
Absolutely. That's exactly my point. I'm glad you said that, because that's exactly my point. Even though we aren't biologically related, we're related, you know, and it should matter to you. No matter what side of Flint you're on, you're in Flint, and it should matter to you. It should always matter to you. And it should matter to you that they're trying to push us out. It should matter to you. It should matter that they're trying to make all of the north side a project, a ghetto. It should matter to you. And
Yeah.
we should not be taking it. We should not let that happen. We cannot take it. You got to get tired of taking it. You should be tired of taking this water situation for 8 years. We got to stop taking it.
Come
Seriously.
on. Come on
We got to
now.
put the pressure on them. We have to speak up. We have to do it together. We have to. We have to do it together.
Did you ever see that movie, Escape from New York?
Escape from New York. I don't
With
think
Kurt
so.
Russell.
Nick,
Oh, yeah.
No, Kurt Russell.
so,
Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
okay, did you understand the concept of that movie?
Yeah.
You remember what did they do in that movie? What was the concept?
Jeez, it's been so long since I
Okay,
that.
remember it was Nick Bliss,
Snake.
Nick Blixen,
Snake Bliss.
Slim Blixen.
No, Snake. Snake.
Snake,
Snake.
right?
Oh yeah, Snake.
Snake, snake,
Snake. Okay,
snake.
but you remember they put a wall around New York? You remember they had a wall around New York?
Yes.
You know, the whole concept that I'm saying is what they're doing, what we're allowing them to do to us is, in certain spaces and places, they're going to use the police and ordinance to keep us in these areas.
They'll put them. They're putting these walls up.
And they're not physical walls. Again, like I say,
Right.
police, along with ordinance, along with our culture conditioning, we won't even step over this area because psychologically, it don't have to be a device in our neck, but we know we can't go over here, right? Because we'll be put in jail or killed, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole
But
concept of, go ahead.
but even remember that movie that Oprah did, The Women of Brewster Place. Remember, they were always looking at this wall and they were talking about that.
Yeah,
And one day she got tired of it and she went and started breaking it down. And they all
come
came out and
on, come
we
on now.
gotta do that. We gotta break it down before it even get put up. What we need to do is we need to stand there where they want to put the wall at and say, no, the hell you're not.
No, you're not. No, you're not. And those of you guys that are so caught up in your white Jesus, the wall of Jericho is the same concept that we're talking
Absolutely.
about today. So you think about now they had a story in the Bible talking about the wall of Jericho, and look what we're in today. You think about that, sister. That's thousands of years ago. And look what's
Absolutely.
going on today. You think about that
Absolutely.
mindset of what, and again, that had nothing to do with ethnicity back then. That was about
Absolutely.
power. That was purely power. That was just power. You know, I'm
Yeah.
going to make sure that you guys are going to be regulated to just garbage, poison water, poison food, poison everything. I'm just going to abuse you and use you, and then I'm going to discard you. That's what it about. It wasn't about sharing no power, because if you want to go talk about capitalism and how they say, well, how does one relate to the next? So if we talk about a park, a water, if we talk about housing, education, if we talk about mental wellness, how does all those relate to one another, sister? Just give our community a little bit of take on that.
I think they all relate to each other, especially especially the mental health aspect of it. If you start there, because we got to think about the healing, and you got to start from the middle out, right? You got to
Yeah.
start from the center, and the center is your mindset and your mental. And if you start there with some type of therapy, some type of something, because I feel like even the policing, you know, um like Tanya Burns said, that there need to be some other some I'm sorry. Oh, I thought you said something. It needs to be something else, whether it be conflict resolution or it be not just the police showing up, but a mental health specialist showing up with the police, a conflict resolution aid that shows up with the police, not just the police, but something else, because it's not always just about handcuffing and throwing in jail, right?
Right,
We got to
right.
start there with that. We also need to start with how we need to build up here in order for other businesses to come here. People want a Chick-fil-A here, but why would Chick-fil-A come here and there's no it's so destitute. It's nobody here, right? It's just little things like that we need to do. Even the housing. People want to be proud of where they're at and what they're in. So
That's
if we
right.
build up and we get housing and we get affordable housing for people and we teach them how to maintain it. Again,
Yes.
that's fundamental, and we have to teach them how to maintain it. Teach them how to make sure that their bills are going to be paid and progressing forward. Those are the things that I think that people continue to be proud of, and we have to be proud of these places. So if we want to continue to be proud of Flint and we want to get it back that way, we have to start with those things and move it up. We can't
Yes.
we can't do that if we don't have anything to be proud of. And if you continue to put things downtown where we're not at, we
Come
can't be proud
on.
of those things. We need
Come
to be proud of some
on.
things of where we're at. We need to be proud of some things on the north side, on the east side, on the south side. We need to be proud of those things.
There
Those
you
are the places
go.
that we need to put those things up at. So if you want to invest $200 million, invest $200 million on the north side to build up, even if it's just to revitalize those parks. If parks are your concern, then revitalize the parks on the north side. All of
Thank
those
you.
all of those parks. And then maybe those people that live around that area will have some pride in it, right? Start taking their children to it. But as they're walking or they're driving to take those children to those parks that are there, they see the things around it. And maybe that'll spark the people around those parks to start cleaning up around their houses and cleaning up around the neighborhood. Maybe that will spark, and sparks light fires. And if you get that spark and you light a fire, there's no telling what can happen, right? But we need to
That's
do that. But give someone something to be proud of, to be proud to look at, so then it can start and do it all the way around. Because again, if we do that one little spark and it catches fire, that's one neighborhood that just revitalized itself.
That's it, sister. When you mention like that, and even with proper leadership and with with the dollars and how to expend dollars, you can almost, hey, I'm going to use this money for the existing parks, and then have programs attached to those parks, right? And then that's how you get that spark lit. When you got dollars attached to the park to bring programs to that park, when you got people that are engaged in programs right year round, those parks that we already had. And then when you couple that with, I love what you said about reinvestment. They talking about the school. Build a new school on the north side, sister. And the model could be used, listen, the model could be used from pre-K all the way to the 12th grade. You can build a campus. A campus is going to house and going to be able to educate from pre-K all the way to the 12th grade. And then we're going to have all those things that they took out, from music to woodshop to home ec, all those soft skills, all the things for trade. Everybody's not going to be a computer physicist. So you're going to have classes for the whole roundness of a human being, right? And you're going to have mental health, mental wellness at the center of it. And then that way you go after all these children that's in the outer county, bring them back. See, that's the kind of leadership that you got to be bold with, sister.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I also I also feel like you said about revitalizing the north side. I think that again, I think we got to start taking some pride in our own communities and start there, And again, we can do that even if we start with one area. And like I said, we all just fill up city council. We all speak, we all give our 3 minutes. if there is 150 seats in there, then there should be 150 asses in those seats and names on that sheet of paper to give 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Every last one of us. Every
Thank
single
you.
solitary last one of us. And we all speak about the same thing and speak about one thing. And that's what we need. And we
Thank
continue to do that. We have to go forward. And also what Tanya Burns said, you know, and she made me think about it because we're talking about that, but we forget that the county got money too.
Thank
And the
you.
county ain't doing shit with their money either. And we
Thank
need to go down there. We need to do that with the county too. When they have their 9 a.m. meetings, we need to be down there at the county at their 9 a.m. meeting saying, hey, you know, the north side of Flint is part of Genesee County, right? You need to invest some of that money into that. We know them about that, but we also need to be on the county. Please, let's not forget that we have to go to the county meetings as well, because she put that on the forefront of my mind because I forgot. So on those Wednesdays at 9 a.m., all those people that don't work in the mornings that can be at those county meetings at 9 a.m. need to go down there and say, hey, you know what? Y'all got money too. And the north side of Flint is Genesee County, and we need some of that money. So that money needs to come to the north side, and we need this, and this. We need to bum rush them about the money too, because Flint ain't the only ones. Just Flint City ain't the only ones, but Genesee County has money, and we are a part of Genesee County, and we need to be putting our foot on their necks too. So if we're gonna put our foot on the necks of the city of Flint, then we're gonna put our foot on the necks of Genesee County as well. And y'all gonna give up some of them dollars too.
There you go. Now back to what you're saying about, you know, strategizing, analyzing, and then formulating a plan of attack. That's the key. And again, it takes all of us working together. That's something that we need to really, really get out to our community where we can be strategic and make sure that we get like-minded people that's going to be on specifically. And as you just said, reinvest, reinvest, and reinvest. And then have an outline of what that reinvestment look like. Because a lot of times people want to try to get you off your square. As long as we stay focused on just reinvestment. When we talk about reinvestment, we talk about the wholeness of our community, the wholeness of our wellness, our mental wellness. Again, that is key. And having that kind of formulated in an area or in a way that we can just start passing out like in little pamphlets for them. Because again, this is about helping our people, especially those that are not, just ignorant. They just don't know. So many of our people just don't know. They are just surviving. There's a difference between surviving and living. We have so many people just surviving second to second. They're not even thinking about tomorrow. They're just thinking about the next hour, sister.
Yeah. And that's it. We need to we do need to think about right now, but we also need to think about the future, because Flint can't last another 10 years like this. We can't.
Wow. You know, when you said that, I was going to ask you that same thing. I said, can you imagine Flint in 10 years? I just had that in the back of my mind. And I was just thinking that same thing. What will Flint look like in 10 years?
It won't be a Flint. We can't survive like this.
Nope, can't. You know, I mean, that's to the point. And so since we know that, and again, for those of you guys that are listening, again, it is about us educating one another, getting out of our feelings, and really starting to do some things that has been done before. A lot of times we keep trying to do new ways. We got technology now, guys, with Facebook, Twitter, with all this stuff. There's no reason why we can't fill up the count on Wednesday, those 9 o'clock county meetings and those Monday city council board meetings, those board of education meetings. There's no excuse for us not filling up those meetings and having 1 or 2 points that we are sticking with. And don't get off that track. Just sticking with that and making sure we push that, because that's what other people have done when they immigrated to this community. And you got a lot of communities, just like when you look at Dearborn. When you go down to Dearborn, Dearborn in Detroit is basically a Muslim community. Now, one of the fastest growing communities that is immigrants from Africa is Hamtramck. Hamtramck, which used to be Polish, have almost turned into a slash Islamic and West African community, and they just elected a Muslim mayor in Hamtramck. So I'm just showing you, and those people have been here less than 30 years. Hamtramck have flipped in less than 30 years, where those whites and Polacks and all those people have moved out to Bloomfield Hill, all them other spaces, Clarkston, and all them other places that, Utica, all them other spaces, because again, once the General Motors and all that stuff was employing, over 400,000 people, and once that downsized, all them people moved out because a lot of those small factories that broke up, that those executives at General Motors got the wind that they were getting ready to downsize and export. They bought little factories and built little factories, and they got feeder factories that, a lot of these other guys were able to build small parts to supply, the auto industry. So they were able to build up their community, because that's what they did. A lot of them executives from Ford, Chrysler, Fiat, all them people knew what was happening. So they developed little small part factories that was going to supply all and the defense industry, and they got companies all across these smaller communities where they are making millions of dollars and hiring their own people, my sister.
Yeah. I've seen it. I see it all the time. I've seen it. I've worked in some of those supplier factories, and even working for the big companies. So I see it. And yes, they are. And they're strategic in that. And they think longevity. And that's how we should be thinking too. They don't think of just the right now. They think longevity. So, and it's that forward thinking that we need to have. Forward thinking is what we need to have. We got to.
Forward thinking. I don't know if any of you guys ever been downtown Fenton, Michigan. Downtown Fenton, Michigan, or if any of you guys have been to Frankenmuth, you think about the legacy and what they have chosen to do, where those communities, no matter what happened economically, they are still striving. I mean, and that's why is the North Side looking like that? Because of that continued reinvestment in those communities, sister. Look at Frankenmuth. Look at that Frankenmuth. When you look at that street on Frankenmuth with Zenders and all that, it's less than 2 miles, almost 2 miles. And do you know the amount of people that are there on the weekend?
Yeah, including myself, because I go down there for quite often.
Okay, then.
Let me be honest. I love going down there because it's beautiful down there, and it's always something to do. But that's it though. The Zenders keep it fresh and keep it revitalized, and not only that, but they live there.
Come on now.
She got listen, a big, crazy, stupid, dumb, beautiful house out there. I'm talking about beautiful, but she lives there, right on the water.
Right,
you can take the boat. You can take the boat ride, the tour, and they'll point the house out to you and show it to you.
I've been on the tour.
You can see it being frequented. It's not like it's one of those houses where you don't see nobody, but they live there. And they continue to build it up, and they continue to revitalize it. And they continue to add money to it. They continue to put new things there and new things to do there. They continue to bring things there all the time.
Come on now.
That's the energy we should have, because that's how I feel. I would love to ride down on the north side and point to one of those houses and say my mayor lives there.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. There you go. And that's how you revitalize the north side, because you can keep it simple. There are so many things that we could just redevelop where people from other communities will want to come and walk around. They feel safe, at ease, and there's something to do. You can sit and eat. I mean, think about the kind of eateries we could have on that area on the north side that would bring people to just sit down and eat, and then you redevelop little different things around the community, which would be awesome, which would be so awesome. Because, when you look at Frankenmuth, basically started in the 30s, even with Bonners. Bonners took an idea, a culture idea dealing with Christmas, and blew up around the world. People come from all over the world to go to Bonners, guys. And then they done attached a water park to it. You think about that, how awesome that was. They reinvented themselves and attached a water park to it.
Imagine this, Brother Roberts. Imagine if we did exactly what like the churches did. You know, when you become the pastor of a church, they give you a house, and the house sit right next to the church, right?
Yeah.
Imagine if that's what we did as far as the mayor goes. Imagine if right in the middle of the north side, they bought like 2 houses and they revitalized them, right? Knocked them down, put them together, made one big house and say, this is the mayor's house. And when you become the mayor, this is where you live. Right in the middle of the north side, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Imagine if they did that. Now, with that being said, and you're the mayor and you live right there and you live right in the middle of the north side, hopefully that will spark you to want to build up right around there and to make it look pretty in there, because now you got to live there. Now you got how many years to live in this house? You got 4 years to live in this house.
Come on.
Now you want to live in that house and you want to, and around the house, you want it to look like trash. You want it to look like shit. You want all of this crime and all of this stuff to be happening around you. I don't think that you would, but I think maybe that's some of the energy we should have, and we should be doing that and saying, all right, you want to be the mayor? When you become the mayor, this way you live, just like the president. Hey, this you live right here in the White House. This it right here. This is where you live. Now, this is what you want it to look like around you. That's on you. But if you want it to look nice and you want it to be nice, then this is what you do. This is what you got to do, because this is your people. This is who you are working for. Now you right in the middle of your people.
Yeah, and when you say that simple concept, if you understand what, just like when Minister Farrakhan lives in Hyde Park in Chicago, and then a few blocks over, President Barack Obama's house is over in that area. In Hyde Park, just like you say, sister, it's immaculate. It's those old Victorian, old homes where now they got solar panels. They brick homes. They done hooked them up. You talk about beautiful, man. Hyde Park off the chain. And like you say, that is thinking outside the box, but also inside the box, because then you bring in revenue, you bring in people, you bring in stability. That's something that could be done. They see, when you talk about going to the council, having a plan, that's a plan, sister. That's a plan. You know, that's something can attach to a legacy, and then it can benefit that community. Oh, that's so awesome. And people will come from out of places. If you build it up right, they will come to tour the mayor's mansion and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Because you're gonna make it and you're gonna make it esteemed. You're gonna make it a place to come. And, you know, have a little outside patio, have an outside greeting area like they can do now. They get ready. What they doing at Hitchfield with Motown, what they going to do at Motown is something similar to that. They get ready. They revitalizing Motown. It's going to be out cold. You can go there any day and go and sing outside in this little patio. They get ready to hook it up where it's going to be community minded. You see what I'm saying? And that's how that's leadership. You know, that's bringing real energy to our community. So
I just feel like that's the type of forward thinking we should have, and maybe that's something we should bring up to council. You know, like, hey, listen, y'all need to demand that the mayor live right there in the heart of his people.
I think so. I think that, and I think another thing before we close out, we got a minute and a half before we close out. I think everybody right now, if you look at the Superior Court downtown, not one of those judges are black. When you think about the police force is predominantly white. The fire department is predominantly white. And even when you think about those people that come to your house and give you, what do you call it, the person that come and give you appraisal of your house, those people that appraise your home, appraisers in America, 97% of the appraisers in America are white. 97% of the people that appraise homes or businesses and buildings are white. And again, going back to, always want to give y'all some information to double check, where we can understand where we can fill in the gaps and how we can engage in uplifting one another. And I just want to thank you guys. Before I close out, I want my sister to close out and give any information she would like to share.
I just appreciate it, as always, being on this platform with you. And for everybody watching, you all enjoy your weekend. Tell a friend to come to 810 News Media Group. Like, share, subscribe. You guys take some time out to enjoy yourself, relax, recharge. And definitely don't forget to come out to those council meetings and those county meetings. We need to come out in droves and demand our city back.
And again, thank you so much, my friend. It's always an honor. I want to always leave you guys with hug someone. Tell someone that you love them and that they matter, and give them a hug. Even if you don't want it because of COVID, if you want to throw them a hug, just hug yourself and tell them I'm hugging you. Please make sure that you hug someone today and tell somebody or call somebody that you love them. Today is my wonderful day of birth. I think every day is a rebirth, but today is the day I was born in Cook County Hospital in Chicago, Illinois. So I want to celebrate my mom and dad for allowing me to be here, and all of you people in the community and across the world that love me. I just want to tell you guys thank you and continue to pray for all of us, lift each other up. And again, I'm Hubert Roberts. This again is a community, Black Lives Matter Flint Community Conversation. And then hit me up 810-394-4105, mentorroberts@gmail.com.
Happy birthday, Brother Robert. So we love you.
Thank you, sis. Thank you.